Okay, we are now officially live on YouTube, so we're good there.
Cool.
And now
Link to the Discord. I got people to show off to.
we're going live on Spawn Point Session. And then on TikTok, I'm going to put Ronell. And then going live there. We're going to see what happens. All right, I'm not too laggy on the TikTok side. I can't really see what's going on the YouTube side, but that's okay. Welcome everybody back to Fictional, a gaming and wait, what is it? Yeah, Fictional, an anime gaming channel presents Spawn Point Sessions. We got an awesome creator spotlight here. He's my mutual off of TikTok. We've had a couple of discussions about video games and content creation in the past, so I'm really excited to introduce you guys to 8bitClosedFist on TikTok. You guys know him as Ronell/Wally/Gaming Chats. So here he is. Welcome to our podcast. Welcome to our loud podcast. As always, with me is my main man, Delta. Me and him go way back. He's my college friend. And we got PJ, the toxic god of TikTok.
Yo!
So we got a big day in store. A lot of this is gonna come off the dome. Wally, I had a hard time getting prepared to ask you tough questions. So I was like,
tough questions.
What? Huh?
I said tough questions. Let's do it.
Okay, well now I gotta go and look for my tough questions. But anyway, so we're gonna let PJ start us off here, so we can get to know Ronell a little bit more and talk about some games. Let's get it.
All right, Ronell. I've followed you on TikTok for a while now. I've seen a couple of your lives and everything. So I want to know what made you get started with the gaming acknowledgement side instead of just being a normal gaming streamer and everything like.
Oh, audio cut out.
Just hit mute or you unplugged your mic.
Did your mic come unplugged? My mic's here.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep, we back.
Gotta get you a big black mic.
Okay? So it was just what made you get into the gaming knowledge side of trying to get everybody into the gaming reactions and everything like that.
Because the other stuff I was kind of bored doing it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do gameplay because I didn't feel like playing a game, capturing it, uploading it. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to pick up my phone and shoot it. Doing news shit also bored me. You know, I don't want to report the news. And there's going to be people that do it better than me. I'm not going to be getting up at 6 a.m. to look at, you know what I'm saying, IGN and kind of regurgitate whatever they post, you know?
Right.
I ain't got no, like, at least at the time, I didn't have, like, no insider news or anything like that. So I would just be repeating articles, and that's not what I do, you know, with friends. We don't just talk about articles. But I did have real discussions and conversations and questions I wanted to be had. So I just said, forget it. Let's try and do that.
Okay, because like I said, I've seen a couple of a lot of your discussions that you've popped up with. There were some I do agree with, some I don't. Especially like with Assassin's Creed and the Shadows part. That one was a big topic for a while. How much did you fight with people on that one?
A cool amount, but to be honest, it's not a fight I was really caring to fight because I'm not really an Assassin's Creed dude anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why are we doing all this for Assassin's Creed? You know, like if you like Assassin's Creed, you don't care you're buying this game. But most of us is like casual about Assassin's Creed anyway. So like I don't know why we doing all this for some Assassin's Creed.
When it was never that big of a topic to begin with. It was
everyone know Assassin's Creed.
I wholeheartedly agree with that part of that whole discussion when you said it is like nobody really cared for Assassin's Creed until they came out with a black protagonist, and it was like
whole time we're dealing with all these biblical references, the Garden of Eden, the apple of
fighting the Pope,
like everything else.
And then they had that
magic.
DLC, they had that ending DLC for what was it, Odyssey, and you're in Atlantis. Like, okay.
I mean, man,
we draw the line at black people.
Listen, man, as a hardcore fan of the series, for reasons I don't need to get into, because I don't want to get roasted on the internet, but
you'll get to it
like
later.
there were narrative reasons for the Atlantis thing, and it's when they go into that, the fantasy shit, all that. That's where the series really shines, because they branch into a whole like the first people thing, where it was like, you know, the advanced society before humanity. That's what I'm there for. Everyone else is there for like the historical like simulation shit, but once it starts breaking all that stuff and you start finding the crazy shit, that's where I'm there. I'm a huge sci-fi fan, so like that's my draw. But you're right, like every person, every time a new Assassin's Creed game came out, the comment section just full of like, oh, it's ass Creed, no one cares about this, it's shit, dead game, dead garbage, Ubisoft kill you, all that crazy garbage that they would put in. And then the nerdcore people like me played it, had a blast, fucked off. That's it. That's all we ever fucking did.
Millions every single time.
It does. It absolutely does. And I was, when people were asking for the feudal Japan Assassin's Creed back in the day, I was like, that shit's just ninjas. Why would you ever do that? That's boring as hell. And then they announce it, and I'm looking at the trailers. I'm like, all right, actually, I'm kind of fucking stoked for this. This looks like it could be pretty cool, especially because, I mean, they've been asking for feudal Japan since 2 came out. But now that they've been seeding in like the legends and folklore in that narrative, like Left Behind, like space magic, because it's advanced technology shit, I'm actually stoked to see the Japanese like legends and whatnot, the mythology thrown in, because I'd love to see how they pull it off. And you know they're going to make some cool ass gear from whatever the first people left behind anyway. So like, I'm here to get my techno weeb on ultra fucking hard for this game. I'm stoked for it.
So this is the thing: the amount of people he was fighting, I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure all the ones I've seen, none of the people he was fighting was anybody was from actually Japan. They were just literally here, and of course, you know,
the Japanese were really excited for this game when it got
yeah, and so
Japan
that was the thing. That was the whole funniest part. That was the funniest part about the fight. But
and I applaud Ubisoft to one degree for the decisions they've made for the protagonist stuff, which again will get me destroyed on the internet. But the thing is, it's like in the internal, like when you go into pre-production for games and shit, the decision of how your protagonist looks, like if it's not like a create your own character thing, that's like one of the first table discussions. And that's just the truth of it, is the thing. Like your publishers go and they're like, okay, audiences are into this right now. How do we include this? And they picked possibly the most legitimate way to do that, because there's enough like legitimate history and historical documents of these characters existing that and that's Assassin's Creed's whole thing. It's like we use things that are adjacent to history and then seed our own mythology and story into it, which is something I love. Like throwing, you know, like assassinating the families in Assassin's Creed 2, like throwing them off the roof of the Parliament building, shit like that. Loved that. Like that was historically accurate. So they picked the perfect target for that. And I understand that some people are pissed, and I get why to a degree, but it's like in this environment where you're told before a project starts, you need to include this or involve this somehow, this was the perfect way to do it. They didn't just throw something in out of nowhere. They actually went out of their way to find like the perfect, accurate thing that they could do and implement it, which I do think is, you know,
the funny thing too is that there is a full-on he's not even the main character. It is 2 main characters.
Right. You know
what I'm saying? Like full 2 main characters.
But see, the problem is,
Full on
she is.
But see, here's the problem. Right? Here's the problem. She's a woman.
I know. It don't count. It don't count. Yeah, it don't count.
She's not Japanese because she's a woman. Like that's
we wanted a man, which is crazy because there's all these white dudes who are like, we wanted to play a Japanese dude. Like, relax, they're okay. There are the Japanese representation.
And my are all about that. Go play Samurai Warriors.
Like, go play Ghost of Tsushima. Go play Sekiro. Go play so many games.
Ghost of Tsushima is the perfect example. Ghost of Tsushima is literally I played Ghost of Tsushima, but I didn't get like super into it because I knew Shadows was coming out, which was going to be more of the sci-fi thing I was looking for anyway. Mm-hmm. Like I played through Ghost of Tsushima, but I didn't actually go and do I didn't do the 100% crazy exploration the way I used to.
Pause real quick. Ronell, is it still there? Because on my end, it's showing it's not there.
Now wait, exit because you got my chat up. Okay, now we're good.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry, there was a black line going through Ronell's face on YouTube. Apparently, YouTube did not like Ronell's face and was like, "We're gonna give him a scar. We're gonna,
Censor
we're,
him.
gonna give him
Yeah.
we're gonna give him some more characters." What YouTube was trying to do. But continue. I'm sorry. Trying to make sure we.
No. I mean, I think Ghost of Tsushima is the perfect example of like a game that is adjacent to that genre that you can play that has that level of that authenticity that you're looking for. And the thing is, you can tell that the people that are commenting aren't fans of the Assassin's Creed series, like recently, because there was another game that they did this, which was Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which was set in like the Industrial Revolution for England,
Yep.
and they had the twins, Jacob and Evie Fry, and you could, like, aside from like a couple of very specific missions where you had to be one character, your choice through the entire game was playing as one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I always played as Evie because she was more stealth based, and I like being the stealth character. But this game's the same way. It's like I want to be a stealth character, so I'm going to play as the Japanese woman. And
Right.
like, it's about how I play. It's not about how I look. And if you want a game about how you look, there are thousands of other options for that.
And I do like how they're going with like the two separate different characters, because see, then you can run into the problem like Assassin's Creed Odyssey did, where the canosity of that game is Cassandra. She's the main character. She's actually the one going around doing all this stuff, and Alexios is the bad guy. Like that's how it was always set up. And but like take somebody like me, I played as Alexios because I liked the way Alexios would speak. Like, oh, Malaka, like all that shit, right? It was all great. Anyway, but when I got ready to play Valhalla, and then you run, spoiler alert to those who haven't played Valhalla, but then you run into Cassandra in Valhalla, I was like, wait a minute. Wait, what? But I murdered her. Like, she's not alive. Like, how is she here? So, like, I'm glad that they did it where you have the two different play styles, but they're both the canon to that story. And I think that that's good that Assassin's Creed polished that up, because otherwise you're going to have people complaining. No, people are going to complain no matter what. But then you got all these valid complaints that could really tank your writing team's morale. So I'm glad that they fixed that up, in my opinion.
Yeah, because Valhalla's whole thing was like, oh, the simulation, like part of the genetic code is degraded and it can't seem to tell if Eivor was a man or a woman. And fine, that's fine. That's whatever. But the thing is like it what that results in is doing the same set of lines for two different voice actors, and it's just based on the delivery. With the way that they do it like this, where both characters are canonically like involved at the same time, you get, I think, a better overall writing experience, because it's not two people doing the same thing. It's not a compared set there. It's two different experiences entirely.
And the two characters are drastically different. Their stories are different. They play differently. It's a different tone when you're playing against them. They're introduced differently. They're doing a good job, and you can tell that they really put something into this. I'm actually more excited for this Assassin's Creed Shadows than I have been for probably anyone in a while. And it's based off of the gameplay. Because another aspect was that when it was talking about feudal Japan or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, I played Ghost of Tsushima. That was only okay. So I don't really... And that was already Assassin's Creed with, you know what I'm saying? With swords. So I was like, all right, I don't really need this from Assassin's Creed. But they went a different route, and it works.
Yeah. But speaking of feudal Japan and assassin-like games, one game is getting a port in next month that I'm pretty excited about. Rise of the Ronin is coming to PC. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, you might be one of 17 people that's really excited.
Listen, man, I was a huge I have always been a huge Way of the Samurai type of person. Like, I love the Way of the Samurai games, and just watching gameplay, I know it's not the same, and I know it doesn't play the same, but it looks the same. It gives me that same vibe, so that's why I'm excited for it. And plus, I don't really care about graphics and stuff anyway. Like, I sit here and I play Outward every other day, and Outward has crappy graphics, but I love it. So I'm here for it.
The mechanics of that one did look pretty cool, though.
Yeah,
it's pretty solid. It looks fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
now you go. Is that
so right now? No. I was like, how does it feel to become a voice for most people to come to and listen to and take a lot of things you say serious, when it comes to explaining a game and how you feel about a game?
I think it's fun, right? I think it's just the ability to have a thought, have a take, or see someone else with one, and just kind of expand on that and yap about it over the internet is fun. Um, and that's what it's about, right? It's just like a little bit of
Yeah.
community. You know what I'm saying? You get to have a little bit of fun. A lot of people don't never had the experience of like a LAN party, midnight release,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying, any really in-person event or anything like that to actually talk about video games, and they're probably the biggest gamer that they know. So I know what it feels like to have that. So just being able to like yap it up, I think it's just fun. And if I'm the person they want to yap up to, that's dope too.
There was a question
Do
Yeah.
that's slightly outside of just games, but I did notice on your page, Ronell, that you're doing a podcast with this woman. Can you talk about that? Are you allowed to tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, for sure. Checkpoint, the show. That is an extension. I think going to your first question about like wanting to not just do gameplay or not just do news, but
Hmm.
kind of like create conversations with gaming. I've kind of been once I found that that was the path that I wanted to go through with content creation and video games. I just wanted to expand on that. So that moved into long form. Now I have my page, 8bit Close Fist, where I'm doing like some video game essays. You know, obviously longer reviews, longer previews, all that fun stuff. But I also wanted to create a show. That was reminiscent of like those Attack of the Show G4 days, and it's with Alexis. She's dope. The first episode is actually out at Checkpoint the Show, so you can check that out. But yeah, it's just like we pick a topic about video games, and you know what I'm saying, we try to like give real good critique and real good logical discussions there. So it's not just rage bait, it's not just our feelings, but we aren't afraid to acknowledge our biases, and just like bring back real good conversations because it
Yeah,
got
everything is
terrible.
so
Game was
It got
bad.
terrible
everything is
quick
just so
too.
Yeah,
anti-woke.
Yeah.
Like that's all it
I
yeah.
is.
guess
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have a question about that. I guess both that point and the previous point. Like, do you as someone who does express these opinions and has a following and an audience, do you feel a responsibility to not maybe not to companies itself, but to the games themselves as like to really take the time to understand it before you express those. Like, I mean, you obviously you can have like the first impressions videos and whatnot, but like when you do something that's on something that you've taken the time with, like, do you feel more of a responsibility to take a lot of time with a game and then give like a really like holistic, opinion on it?
Yeah, like when it comes to like reviews and stuff, I don't think there's too much that I do consciously that I don't do naturally, right? Like I think when I'm
Mhm.
speaking in general, just from like life experiences and career that I've just learned to be I gotta say what I mean and mean what I say. So that's kind of innate. So that's been a
Hmm.
thing. And then when it comes to reviews of games specifically, I wouldn't even say it's a responsibility. I just feel like it's just the way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's just the correct
Yeah.
way to do it. Now, realistically, that always isn't easy because sometimes they'll give me a review code 2 days before a game drop and it's 40 hours. Sorry, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna say how
Yeah.
I feel, and you know what I'm saying? Like there's no time to be taken really. It's just whatever
Right.
it is. But even with that, it's like I'm trying to be, I'm mindful of what I'm saying just because I think that's the effective way to communicate it.
Because gaming journalism really has sort of hit this weird point, especially websites. It's just like review sites and whatnot are very difficult because it, like you said, it's all of a time based thing. And the problem I've seen is that when you hand it out to a bunch of reviewers, the gaming journalism thing is less about the content and more about how quickly you get it out. In terms of like, it's like, oh well, like me and four other news outlets are trying to get this review out as quickly as possible, and whoever posts it first is going to get the most foot traffic. And the problem is games are subjective. Like I've loved. I mean, hey, I just admitted to being an Assassin's Creed fan. There
Hardcore
are
fan.
yeah, hardcore Assassin's Creed
he
fan,
really
and
is.
there are
Like,
some games. There are some people that love a game that everyone else hates. Or like Battleborn was one of my absolute favorites. I mentioned that last time we did this
Yeah,
cast.
I
Like,
remember about
there are
it.
so many people that hated Battleborn when Overwatch came out. Get out of here. But look at this guy. No, but the thing is the analogy I always give is like if you gave a review of Skyrim based solely on the base campaign, like just the campaign missions, you did nothing else, no other side quests, no like. I've always felt that Skyrim's strength came from everything else you could do outside of the story. You know, like I loved the Dawnguard DLC.
Oh, Dawnguard was so good.
The question, like the all the other side quests you could do were great. The main campaign for me was like the least appealing thing. I owned that game for like 8-10 years before I finished the campaign, but I made dozens of characters, poured hundreds of hours in. I just didn't feel compelled to do the main story.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, like there are some things that players will enjoy more than others. And when you force that review time, your players are just like you give this review that's just tone deaf. It just doesn't. It's the meme about the too much water review for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with Pokemon, which they did. I think they changed. You can't find it on the page for the review anymore.
It wasn't that bad a review, if I'm being honest.
It wasn't terrible, but like that one font.
You know what I'm saying, right? The bullet points up, which is why, and I could go on a whole rant about this, and I will keep it to a minimum. But that's more so part of the system of reviews in itself, right? One, the time frame. It's hard. It's really hard. Like period. It's really hard to do. And I have a newfound respect because I'm now like reviewing games early and shit like that. So like, it's fucking hard to like actually sit through. And I got like a job and shit. You know what I mean? So I can't really do it. But that's one thing, right? The time constraint. The other thing is the entire way we look at reviewers, right? Which is like as something that's objective. It's 1000% subjective, right?
Exactly.
There is no objective way to review a game of all things, right? It started off with the movie shit, right? And they got away with it, right? Roger Ebert and them, you know what I'm saying? They did what they had to do, right? That it even moved its way into music a little bit. But at least music is like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I like it, you don't, that's cool. But they still try and take an objective lens. Video games also tries to take that objective lens, and it's just not realistic, right? It doesn't make sense to look at it that way. But we all mostly look at it that way, right? We see it as an objective score, and the score is another part that sucks, right? And then the snapshotting, right? The too long didn't read part that mostly everyone only reads, which is the end, which is just the 3 bullet points, you know what I'm saying? And the score and the thing that they could screenshot and send to social media is another part that makes it even worse. So it's like step on step on step on like diluting the whole point of like a review, which is like, should you recommend this game to someone? And now it's transformed into like, is this game good or bad? Which really shouldn't be how reviews are. So like to fix reviews, we have to change the entire situation.
I second that. And like even when we brought on, you know, Malik Forte, right? Yeah. So he was our first ever Spawn Point session creator spotlight. Then we had Delta. Then we had Josh Statics, and then we had Delta. And then Delta stuck on with us because he liked the idea of having these types of discussions. So
I'm Italian. I like to talk. What can I say?
But even Malik was saying the same thing, and I agree with what both of y'all are saying. We need to peel back the layers, and we need to essentially defund game reviews. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we need to build it back up from the top up, or from the bottom up. Like, you don't have to necessarily be objective in your review, but you do need to talk about the things that are bringing people that would bring people into the game. For example, I'm a huge Starfield fan. I know that's also a crazy thing to say in this world, right?
I love Starfield.
But 2 for 2.
But my thing with
I got the third. It's hard for me to say.
Listen. But my thing with Starfield, I love the ship creator. That I spent hours and hours just building some of my favorite ships. I built the Rocinante from the Expanse. That was like my first major ship that I built, and I made it look exactly like it as best as I could with that ship creator. But what really stood out for me in Starfield was the UC Marine missions. Just like Delta said with the Dawnguard. The UC Marine missions in that game is to me, that's the best part about that game. If you play that should have been the main game story. It should have been. And the fact that it wasn't is criminal. But like when I tell people about Starfield, I say, hey, if you don't mind loading screens, not that big of a deal. If you don't want a loading screen every time you're trying to do something, don't play it. That simple. You know what I'm saying? I don't say if it's good or bad.
Well,
I have fun with it. Doesn't mean it's a good game. Just means I have
Yeah.
fun with it.
Yeah.
The thing that
Yeah.
I've told a lot of people about Starfield is that its strength lies in its potential. Because if you've looked at what's been done to it, what's been said about it by Bethesda and whatnot, the plan is this is the first game I've ever played where its structure is like it seems like it was built to be built upon, which is I think a really strong point because like one of the problems I had with Destiny 2, and I loved Destiny 2 for the longest time, was eventually it was built for Destiny 3 to be a thing, but then they shifted to a model where they would just add content onto it and they had to start cycling out parts to match the weight. Starfield was built with like, okay, so like our DLCs are always the best part. Like, and no one can fight me on that. Elder Scrolls, Fallout, the DLCs are always top notch. Like you look me in the eye and say you didn't love Dead Money for Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, Dead
Robbing
Money
a
was so
casino? Yeah, exactly.
What about Point Lookout for Fallout
This-
3? That
oh,
was
yeah.
crazy.
Point Lookout,
Hey,
Mothership Zeta was my favorite personally.
Mothership Zeta. That was a good
Exactly. So picture a Bethesda game built, and I mean they got Microsoft's, which frankly internally their quality assurance is legendary. That was the smoothest Bethesda game I've ever played. Of course,
Sure.
I played it on console. I know PC had some problems at launch,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the thing is this is a game that was built for them to just do the DLCs. Like we're not stopping at 2 DLCs and then we're going to make the next game. We're just going to keep on making DLCs. And the way that the narrative is structured, it's built to be replayed in a really clever way. And there have been fans that have talked about the shit that they've come like each cycle. Like the universe changes every time you start like a new game plus kind of a thing. It's not like you'll come across people you've never met, you'll come across equipment you've never seen, and there's a narrative reason for it, and I won't spoil it for people that haven't played it, but it's actually kind of cool when you get to the end there. And so with the DLC, what I hope they start doing for Starfield is they just start tossing shit in and they don't tell us. I want like do the DLCs and tell us, but like start throwing solar systems in without telling me.
Yeah,
make a whole planet that's like kind of Oblivion, and
Right.
you find people that just land on a planet and it's like, holy shit, guys, I just found fucking Tamriel. Like
Right.
there it is,
That'd be
which I think
wild.
it would be.
That'd be insane.
You know?
If they had the fan base, I think they would probably do something like that. Right now, their whole thing is always still getting more people in there. But even that, like, right? There's games that we like, and first off, that aren't bad games, right? We know an actual bad game, right? We can be objective about some games that are bad because they run like shit. They're buggy. Everyone has came out and said that this game isn't working the way it's supposed to. These ideas that we had aren't doing, you know what I'm saying? The Sonic, you know what I'm saying? 06, I think. The ETs, right? Extraterrestrial, you know what I'm saying? Like those type of games that like are actually bad games. You know what I'm saying? Rigs and on the road or whatever the hell. Like shit that is terrible. Starfield isn't a bad game, right? But with reviews and the sensationalization of fucking everything, that we have to say that it's fucking either terrible or amazing or it's not going to get any clicks.
And then you get all those bot people that aren't actual bots; they're real people, and they just come in and they just say all types of inflammatory stuff about the game, and then they want to sit there and complain at the same like, hey, all these games are bad. They're all bad. Yeah. Why can't we get any good games? Because you think every game is bad. Like, so if every game is bad, then we don't have good games. It's just that's it.
It's not even just that. It's when you have like somebody who like use Ron, for example, like if he goes and say a game is bad, say he has a good group of people that follow him, like extremely, then they're going to go behind him and take it even further than when he took it.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of content creators do have. It's not the content creators' fault. It's the people that they follow. And you can't, as a grown human being, you can't control what other grown human beings do. Yeah. Unfortunately. But that's why what he said earlier, you have to watch how you say things, because now if you say this game is just bad all the way through and through, now you got somebody say, "Oh, it's terrible," and it takes away everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. That's part of the reason, because Ron, now I don't know if you know this, but when I first started on TikTok, I was not really talking about video games. I was only talking about anime. And part of the reason that I jumped away from anime and then started talking about games to just talking about whatever I wanted to talk about was because I would rage bait Naruto people a lot. And I did it fun though. Like you could tell that I was not.
That's easy though, right?
At least I
That's
thought
the
you could
easiest
tell,
way.
right?
That's
Well,
the easiest
what started happening, I started noticing this. People would take my clips or like go on and go into other people's like other creators who are Naruto creators. And they're like, you need to debate Japan, Amir. He's saying you're stupid because yada da 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 da.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I didn't even say that. I just said I don't think these motherfuckers is blowing up planets. That's all I said. Like, you show me a planet. You show me a planet blown up in Naruto. I'll shut up. I never said that they can't do it. They just haven't done it. So why would I believe it? That's all I said. You know? So
well, it's the whole celebrity thing, right? Like that's it. Like it's not just content creators. It's they are their own people. They can have their own opinions. But the unfortunate truth is because of the status and the visibility that they have, what they say is taken as fact or religion or whatever by their fans or their regular consumers. And they shouldn't have to censor what they say, think about what they say, that kind of thing, because they are just people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can, I don't care who you are. You can think whatever you want, right? And you know, unless you're saying or doing something that is openly harming someone else, I really don't care what you think at the end of the day. But when you're a celebrity and you share this kind of thing, the thing is I mean, shit, I loved who you played in the movie and everything like that. But like, go ahead and say whatever you want.
About cameras.
Yeah, some people just start saying shit, and it holds a lot of weight. And I had a moment. I'm not big on Let's Plays myself. My wife, when we started dating back in high school, was huge on Let's Plays, and eventually in college she got into Markiplier, and he's one of the ones that I'll enjoy sitting down and watching some of his stuff. I like Markiplier.
As long as it's not Asmongold, I'm cool with whatever you want.
Asmongold's fun too, but there was one specific video that Markiplier did. There was a game that he played. I can't remember what it was, but it was something. It was a game about like exploring the dark web, and then it was a horror game. You know, he's big on those. But he had been sent like a review. He'd been sent like an earlier version of it by this developer who were fans, and it was a tough game. And he eventually got to the point where he was so angry he started screaming about how it was bad design, and you know was yelling about the developers and everything. And the thing is like to shout that kind of thing for a game that you've been given early access to, like complaining about a game is perfect, you know, like giving that sort of constructive thing, but that kind of anger, saying those kinds of just inflammatory, very like condemning things out of anger, I can only imagine how horrifying that could have been for those indie devs that went and they were like, hey, we made this, Markiplier's big on horror, he's agreed to look at this. And like the idea is that it's hard. It's supposed to make you like, I mean, it's like Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. Like it's supposed to make you yell, right?
Yeah.
But the way he lost his shit, I was very disappointed to see. And I haven't seen him do it since, except in games where it's legitimately supposed to be like Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy.
That's the thing too, right? Like expressing your complaints and critiques, perfectly fine, encouraged even, right? Do what you gotta do, right? But it's obvious to few rather, that this is just out of anger, right? Like the Call of Duty people, the Elden Ring people, you know, like there are people that just yell, some fighting game people, they'll just yell, something is trash, it's broken, right? And it's purely because they lost to it, right? But a lot of people aren't keen to the fact that what they're saying isn't logical. It's just because they're mad. Now they just take that and run with it.
Yeah. And again, like if you can keep it constructive, and this was something that we talked about when I was on as a guest last time, was like the best thing you can do if you enjoy a game and something about it is frustrating you, you could yell about it and say that it sucks, but like the more tedious but constructive option is to inform, like if you're going to do on forums, support tickets, that kind of, even if you're going to do videos like content creation, say like this aspect is something that I found frustrating and here's why, here's how, that kind of thing. They are more likely to look into that than they are to go and start doom scrolling about how bad you think their game is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like give them clear, honest, concise feedback saying these are the things I think that can be improved. And when your following says, I agree, this has put words to my previous just voice, just yelling. The echo chamber becomes a shared voice, which becomes something that studios, publishers, producers can read and act upon, and that's a big thing. I think a responsibility for people that have that visibility to provide a more intelligent, set of feedback or criticism to anything, not just games, but in general. It's a responsibility that no one asked for when they become, visible, like they become celebrities. But
it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You need the skill to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? Like get the skill, right?
Right.
So PJ, you got fired up. What game was you thinking? What event was you talking about?
Well, you shot me twice with one blow. You said you went for the COD community and the fighting game community. So no, because let's be honest, the COD community is really the worst community of all. Like when it comes to taking criticism, especially since they add skill-based matchmaking, and it's hard to accept that Call of Duty will never live up to what it used to be.
Facts.
And it's that simple.
The biggest thing that killed me in Call of Duty was, I think it was maybe 8 years ago or some time frame around with.
Please don't say Black Ops 3.
I think it might have been Black Ops 3
with the jetpacks.
No, not with the jetpacks. It was it was the dying animations. They were just recycling the same death animations.
Yeah.
OG, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And then you would look at it and you're like, man, I got hit in the front. Why am I falling forward? I just got hit range. What is we talking about? I'm off my feet.
So, I'm not gonna lie. So Call of Duty, they have stepped up their game as far as animations and the graphics and all that, but a lot of games have lost the aspect of making a game. Like Call of Duty, you could used to go to the campaign and have fun in the campaign, go to the zombies and be cool in the zombies. But now it's all become forceful and they're trying to make you do this. Like if I'm not trying to play pubs, if I'm not trying to play rank, I shouldn't have to deal with skill base. But I do. Right. But Tekken, on the other hand, Tekken, as a Tekken player, everybody hates Eddie. I've been playing Tekken since Eddie was OP forever in a day.
Eddie is the GOAT. I don't care.
And Eddie is gonna forever be my GOAT. I don't care what nobody says.
Main reason, he's a black guy with dreadlocks.
But everybody's hated. But ever since, even with Tekken 8 dropping, and Eddie was the first DLC. As soon as he dropped, Eddie with the like, come on now. Now is 3 months later, 6 months later, after they dropped the second one, now Lydia's OP. Now Eddie's nerfed, and now you're gonna have a problem with everybody.
And that's exactly what the problem I dislike about criticisms in gaming and how it's delivered, right? Because, like you said, they say something is a problem immediately all the time, and all that really did, was create a complaint box that just goes straight to the trash. Like developers just don't really need to listen to you anyway. Like you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You're getting two opposite things. You got 2K players that say they want Sims. You got 2K players that want arcade. That now they just don't have to listen to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because you got Tekken players who say Eddie is broken. Then you got same Tekken players that'll probably say he needs to be buffed. You know what I'm saying? You got League of Legends. It's all just the most knee-jerk reaction ever. Gamers are the absolute most knee-jerk. So there's no reason for game designers to developers to really take that feedback, which is why it's important to take a second, think about it, put it in words.
This actually cycles in really well to what you were saying about the subjective objective with reviews and whatnot. That happens internally within the game industry as well. There's a lot of companies, a lot of studios, when games became a profitable industry, which of course was years ago, right? They start getting backed by companies that have nothing to do with games, So these studios, they start getting all this money and they say, well, we need people that are good at doing return on investment. So they go and they hire externally. They hire people that are good at doing return on investment in a product. And games are a product, don't get me wrong. But the thing is if I'm building a car and I want to create the most profitable car. I look up what the most profitable car is, and I make something that is approximate to that and change what I need to make it my car and not their car. So you get these people that are involved in the early decisions, the pre-pro discussions about what a game is supposed to be, and they say, these are the most successful aspects of this game, of the most successful game. So we need to include this to do the return on investment. And the people that are doing this, it's not necessarily their fault, but they're not used to selling something where the selling point was the subjective psychological aspect of fun, of play. Like games became profitable because they were fun to play. And a car is not fun to play. A car can be fun to drive, but that's not the point. The point is to get it from A to B, and then all the other bells and whistles are what make it the best car. So when you create this game, the attitude is like, oh, we're going to make, Fortnite, but we're going to add this, paint job to it. And the thing is conceptually, when you're making a product, that approach is perfect. If you want to create the ultra deluxe toaster, but it's blue and then make a killing on top of it, go ahead. But games don't work that way. But the problem is when the feedback enters this echo chamber where there's nothing coherent about it, the design isn't the thing there. Like, the thing is just the people, I said this last time, the people that work on the game, there's maybe 5% of the people that work on the game actually have any influence on what gets put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is when the people whose decision it is are looking at all of these metrics and people are just mad. There's not a consistent, checklist of what it is that is problematic. Then they default to that original thing, which is hitting as many bullet points for audiences as possible, which is what you were talking about. Suddenly fighting games are league players are giving critiques for fighting games, and they're just mad. So they're like, oh, well, we want to get this audience in. It's like, well, that has nothing to do with this game. And it's like, yeah, but they spend a lot of money on league skins. Yeah. So we're going to make sure that they spend a lot of money on Tekken skins.
Even with 2K, it's kind of like you got half of the community of 2K saying, we don't want these microtransactions, and then you got the other half spending their whole life savings.
$1 billion.
Oh my God. Imagine spending $150 on the game.
It's to the point now where didn't they just make the game it's free now, and then they're like, you can't sue us if you spend all this money. So it's
no, but if you spend $150 for the game, then you go turn around and spend $300 more on VC to make your player the utmost player, and then get him and then do the little workout. Then I'm you spent $500 on the game in literally a day.
It's like I tell people, I get the microtransactions for people who are parents or work really stressful jobs or something like that. They're not really home that often. So it's they want to be able to enjoy the game. I'm fine. I'm fine with the microtransactions being there. But when you have all of these people just funneling everything to it, even if I was a developer, I'd be like, yo, you know what? There's a market here. You'd be stupid in a capitalist society
it's a business
to not
decision.
just say, yeah, you know what? Toss that in there.
There are some companies that have mastered how this works in a way that's actually pretty great. So I was interviewing with Epic for a while, and I knew nothing about Fortnite. I had played it 10 years prior. So I hit up my niece. She's 16, 17. And I'm like, yo, T, teach me how to play Fortnite. And I jump in, and the first thing I see in the lobby is Billie Eilish hitting the gritty. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I turn around. Yeah, and then I turn around. I turn around, and Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty are dabbing at each other, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I get it. I'm like, this is just the internet. This game is it's this is free to play.
It's literally Ready Player One. That's literally
it's just exactly. And so they were so the thing is if you've ever looked into Epic's internally in terms of what their environment is like for their studios, they have a mandatory 1 hour playtest across the entire company once a week. Mm-hmm. And QA runs that. QA says hey, we've enabled this season content or this specific thing. We want to get your feedback. They send a survey. Everyone has to participate. And this is a studio, you can hate Epic as much as you want for the money and all that. Yeah. But the thing is, there are very few studios that have that tight of a grip on exactly, their players have fun and they know exactly why. Yeah. So the thing is, I'm sitting there, I've been playing Fortnite for 2-3 months at this point. I bought the Christmas Shaq skin. I bought Snoop Dogg
Yeah,
You know, like
I
I bought
I definitely
Mariah
bought Snoop.
Carey.
I
bought Mariah
my
Carey.
Snoop Dogg skin.
Like,
I know. God damn it.
Because he just had to be. I don't even want to get on
Yeah.
that. That's another
Yeah.
topic.
I don't know what happened. All I know is, as a '90s kid, I was really excited.
For
I don't know what
sure.
happened with Snoop Dogg, so maybe
Yeah.
I'll take him out of my rotation. But
Yeah.
You might
the
want
thing
to.
is, like, I was having fun, but I wanted to have fun in a way that was representative of like the kinds of things that I found fun. So
Yeah.
like doing All I Want for Christmas Is You as Shaq in
Yeah.
like a Santa suit was like the funniest fucking thing to me. And I'm like, yo, another giant in a Santa suit. I'm gonna do All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I've dropped $20.
Yeah.
And the thing is I didn't feel anything about it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm having fun. And I'm having
Because
fun
you
my
spend
way. Like,
so much content, right? Like even now, if
Yeah.
you have spent a total of $300 on Fortnite,
Mhm.
that's nothing, right? The game's been out for
Oh,
like
yeah.
10 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you got
Yeah.
10 years of
The
absolute
average
the
user
best
spent
shit,
hundreds and hundreds. Yeah. Like
right?
the
And I
thing
think
is,
that's okay because it's free. It's fully free, and they give you tons of content. Tons
it's
of
free
content.
and it's built because it's built in a way for you. It's built for you to have fun. It's not
Yeah.
built for you to spend money, but
Yeah.
you're spending money because you're having fun.
And not
And the
only
entire
that,
company understands how that works. And I think that's brilliant.
not only that, they allow the players to build their own little thing. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
got
for sure.
gun game on Nuketown, and like
Yeah.
for like you have so much you can do. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
rocket racing for
Yeah.
people who like they got so much content within.
The Lego thing. Everyone loves the
Yeah,
Lego
like
thing.
they got so
And
much
that's
content within.
exactly what you were saying too with the feedback loop, because right, you got these everyone just yelling, so there's no point in listening to the feedback loop, right? And then you
Mhm.
got people making these games from, all right, this thing is popular, let's make this, but then it takes 6 years to like make it, and then now it's not popular anymore, and then you don't have the feedback loop, right? So now you can't even like get input on the game really. You could and you should, but most of them don't get input on the game as they're creating it. But even if they do get input, a lot of it is like muddy, especially if it's on console, right? Console players just don't really know how to give feedback for real.
Well, it's
It's
not easy.
terrible,
The typing
and,
reviews is tough on
right?
console. It's terrible.
And that's how
Yeah,
you get CEOs saying that Dragon Age failed because it didn't have live service
That's
aspects
why
in
they're
it.
saying it failed.
yeah.
That's what they
Mhm.
said.
That's what they're saying.
They said Dragon Age Veilguard did bad poorly because it didn't have live service
That's stupid.
aspects. Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is if you are someone who has experience making money for a company that isn't in the games industry, that would be a perfectly valid
Yes.
critique. I've seen
Mhm.
people on LinkedIn that have nothing to do with the game industry that they're like, man, Concord failed, and here's why. And it has nothing to do with games. They have
Yeah.
no idea why that happened. And it's the thing is this is how their brains work, and it works great outside of games. It really does. It makes billions of dollars outside of games.
Yeah.
But games are a whole other thing. It's just fun. It's make believe with money, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And they forget how that works, and it causes problems. And that's why as someone who's worked as a quality analyst and different, like really deep in the qualitative thing, a lot of my free time, if I found like I had some ad hoc time, I would go into our like Zendesk tickets. I would go into Reddit. I would start using occasionally I would use like ChatGPT to like I would compile all of these lists of like the most commonly brought up issues within social media. I would get percentages. I would look into certain things. Like if I saw one that was really common, I'd go check that shit myself. And I'd say, hey, that does happen, or hey, that is a problem. And then I'd write up a ticket. Sometimes it's a bug ticket. Sometimes it's a feedback ticket. Sometimes it's like players are saying a consistent like 58% of complaints are about this one specific thing. And at that point, it's like I'll toss it to our producer or our publisher, and it's like this is something that we've seen, and it's up to them to convince whoever's making the decision that that's something. It's also up to them to decide if that takes priority over whatever the other issues are.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because a lot of people like I have to go digging for hours, for weeks at a time to find that kind of information. And it's because the ones who are really taking the time to do that are getting drowned out by the screaming.
By the anti-woke mafia. That's pretty much what it is. Like even Dragon Age Veilguard, for example. I love Veilguard. I haven't finished it, but what I played of it, I loved it. Favorite character?
Yeah.
Tosh. I don't care what anybody says. Tosh is amazing. The only thing I did not like about Tosh was when you first meet them and you encounter the Antam, they say this weird line that just doesn't match the overall like environment. They go, "Oh, watch out! It's the Antam. They go hard." That's
Yeah.
too modern. That's too, like, you see what I'm saying? And I think to me, that's where Veilguard messed up. They tried to make the dialogue too modern, and it kind of lost that Dragon Age charm. But like they did do a lot. Like the combat was crazy. That was some fun.
That was great.
That was some fun.
That was really good.
Combo blowing detonations. All of that was great. But it's just like this woke mafia, like these anti-woke mafia people.
Yeah.
They're just so against seeing a woman, so against seeing black people, so against seeing anybody that's not a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy that they can't even give you a good review anymore. Like, they'll look at a Lara Croft game, a Tomb Raider game, canonically always been Lara Croft, and they go, man, she doesn't look sexy enough for me. I can't play this game.
Yeah.
What?
Nah.
Yeah, 1,000%.
For me, for Veilguard, and oh man, this is a whole other conversation too. With BioWare games, that's a slippery slope, right?
Yeah.
Veilguard for me, my thing was that the companions, both narratively and mechanically, felt like one of the weaker aspects of the game. I actually did. I didn't hate Veilguard, but mechanically they were the least developed they've ever been. So like, if you look at the skills and the equipment, everything was based around improving you and your character. They almost did nothing autonomously.
Yeah,
each one had one ability.
So like
they have no health bars, and if
combat.
they do not take aggro unless you specifically get a character with a taunt ability that is a temporary thing. And if you do manage to get them to take aggro, you can watch them hack away at a single enemy for minutes, and they will do almost no damage. It's there just to make me feel good. And then each one had one ability that it's like, oh, every 30 seconds they will automatically cast this on their own, you know? So they had no autonomy. I couldn't build them to be strong in their own way. It was just to make me stronger. Yeah. Like, even their gear was like, your effects do more of this. It had nothing to do with them at all.
And so another reason why anyway, the anti-woke people, I hate them. And just the silly criticisms that I wish gamers would pay a little bit more attention to and like really focus on things that matter is because that's valid, right? If they had looked at that and looked at like, hey, what's going on with these companions? Why aren't they doing anything? Then maybe they would have found out that like it's because it was going to be a multiplayer game, right? It was going to be a multiplayer game. It was going to be a live service game, but they kind of switched around CEOs and different ideas. And then the new guy came in. He said, no, let's just make this a single player game. That's why they wasted a lot of money, a lot of time, and ended up kind of forcing down into this single player game, right? This was a forced single player game, right? Right? Probably for the better in a long, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was probably better than what they were gonna do, maybe. But since basically they had lemons, it made lemonade after a while. But because of all
these, which happens a lot,
right? Exactly, right. That's exactly the point. Because of all these silly arguments, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't get to focus on the real aspect. Like, the game development is trash. The way games are developed is trash. The way that publishers have this input is trash. There's wasted money, wasted ideas. All of that is not good. That's the shit that we need to focus on. That's the shit that's giving us these not well-made games, right? These half-baked ideas. That's the shit that we kind of need to like start focusing on so that they can start trying to minimize that as much as possible. All these anti-woke people did all this fucking, oh no, it's because of the they, thems and the LGBT. They did all of this. And at the end of the day, the CEO still said, dang, we should have had more live service. You know what I'm saying? Like, you did all of this and their idea was like, that's what it was. We wasn't selling skins.
So,
sorry, go ahead, PJ.
So to backpack off his point, I feel like a lot of people, I'll be the one to say it, they didn't dumb down the gaming aspect so much because of what's going on around. Sometimes they're scared to push in the envelope. And some are scared, don't want to deal with the cancel culture or anything like that. And so then they dumb down a lot of ideas, but still want you to spend more money because then you got the anti woke people who are just dumb enough to focus on everything else but how the game really is. They're focused on that is it says he she at the top, but we don't agree with that, or they're not focused enough on this part right here of telling me what kind of character this is. And it's like, let's be honest.
Let's be real here. PJ, okay, so I was doing a live, and a lot of my lives recently, Ronell, about video games have been on the political side or like fighting the anti-woke mafia. Like that's what I've been doing on my lives. Of course, someone's got to do it. Like,
someone's got to do it.
Loud. If I'm gonna yell at people, I might as well yell at dumb people. But there was this one where PJ was actually up there with me, and this guy was going hard about Concord, and he was like, "Yeah, they just had the pronouns on the screen," and he was like, and the stance he took sounded like an actual valid complaint. He was like, it takes up too much space. It's just a UI thing. I don't know why it was there. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's pull it up. So I literally just type in like character selector. And when I tell you it's like this small up at the top, I literally had to look for it. PJ and I were like sitting there like, where is it? He's like, yeah, it's like right up there in the corner under the guy's big ass name that takes up more space than anything. And it's just like, they. And then it's like right into the description of the character.
That's right there. That's it. Like it's stuff like that.
Like, and PJ, it was hilarious. PJ was sitting there. He was like, all right, I'm about to get off of this because I can't. TikTok's not gonna let me say what I want to say because
I don't want to get nobody banned. I don't want to do that because the feelings I had for what he said was it was, and it's stuff like that where we make it big deals out of something that's literally not a big deal at all.
Not big. Now, because the way he told it, you would have thought it was just all over the screen.
Yeah, I had no clue that shit was even in the game until like I never seen that screen. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure I played it more than most people. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit was fun. But
when I do the B-roll for this episode, and I'll put that clip on TikTok for you so you can see it.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the thing too. That's the thing, right? Out of all the things to complain about with that game, right? They're choosing to be mad and talk about some them that was randomly, you know what I'm saying, in some screen that no one cares about because it's a hero shooter, right? But realistically, again, we could have been a solid gamer group collective with logical thinking and said, yo, why did you go so long without showing us this? Maybe that's not something we should be doing anymore. Okay, now I understand the character design thing a little bit. I don't really care. It's a hero shooter. I really don't care. But I can understand it. I know a lot of people care about the color and the bodies and they want the characters to look cool, right? Look at Marvel Rivals; those characters are cool as shit, right? Their design is cool as shit. So I can understand them being mad at the character design, and that's something that could have been easily fixed, right? They could have easily been like introducing this as the games were being made, saying, "Hey, these are our character designs," and then we could have said, "Yo, this doesn't look cool." You know what I'm saying? This doesn't look cool at all. Actually, I don't really like the way how cool this doesn't look. And now they could have fixed that, and now the whole entire game could have had a different trajectory, right? That's the type of shit we need to be like fighting and advocating for, right? Like player feedback and like that type of shit.
And even that's a small level of critical thinking. It's not like we're saying that if you're going to review a game or have an opinion, you got to have some Harvard levels, essay about it. We're just saying, like, what about the game was bad? You can't just say, because it was woke. Well, okay. Well, what were they going over the top? Like, what were they doing? Were they just putting things that didn't fit? And then every time, prime example, every time this happens, there's a dude on one of my lives. His name was James. I always make it a point to talk about James. James is awful. Okay, James is just not a good person. If you're out there, James, I know you're following me, James, which is weird. But hey, listen, James, you're crazy. Anyway, James got upset with Veilguard because of the character Tosh, because of the whole, Tosh's non-binary, they're they, them, or she, they, depending on how you want to look at it. Either way, the whole part of you even learning about their gender identity is all a side quest. You have to interact with that character. And I told him, just don't interact with the character and you don't even have to worry about it. And he was like, but then I'm missing out on the story. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like,
This is the story, buddy.
So I
it's
will.
the story then, you know.
And that's be the main thing. It's like you don't have to.
Yeah.
But yet, because it's there, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I will
When
say in Veilguard that wasn't necessarily the case though, because there were several explicit points where the game there were several moments where the game expressly tells you go do your companion's side quests.
Oh yeah, I mean but
was-
you don't have
it wasn't-
to, though. Like,
You don't have to, but the thing is if you're a BioWare player, like you
want
feel,
it.
I feel compelled
Yeah.
to do it. Like so, my thing with I actually liked Tosh quite a bit.
I
I
love
didn't
Tosh.
mind any of that.
Yeah.
Tosh was my first romance target when I played the game. I was like, this
romance
seems
is
kind of
funny,
interesting.
too.
But the thing where I decided to do something else was when there's like a lock-in conversation you have with anyone when you're going for like a romance thing. Tosh's lock-in was about telling them how to identify.
Yes.
And I didn't like that as much
I
because
actually
they were
thought
like,
about that. I went into depth about it
Because-
because James, same dude, was talking about how he felt forced. Like they're forcing this on you. And I said the only situation where I felt forced was when I'm talking to Tosh, and if I didn't want to romance Tosh, but still wanted them to be able to identify the way they wanted to, I didn't even have that option to say. I either could
yeah,
tell
it
her,
had to be,
I'd
it had to be
either tell them-
romantic.
I can either tell them, hey, get rid of your Kunari side, don't worry about the Kun, or I could say, go to the Ravani, do all that, or I could say, no, forget about your Ravani culture, focus on the Kun. Those are your only two options outside of the lock-in romance option, which was, you're perfect the way you are, be who you are. And yet you could still be someone's best friend and tell them those exact same things. And I was upset that I didn't have that as an option. So,
that was the thing for me because
it was
the
weird.
thing is like, who am I as
Mhm.
this character to
tell
tell
you,
these
yeah.
people which exactly, like, because that was the whole thing. Every character, they all had fascinating backstories, but then they also had very modern problems attached to them. Like some of them had like the assassin, the like demon inflected assassin had like trauma, which didn't really match him as much because it's like this is someone who kills people for money, who has been trained like from the age of like 5 to be an assassin, and he's got like battle trauma, which is, or like he was tortured, and that's traumatic, which it can be. But you would think as someone who was trained as an assassin from the age of 5 to like be immune to poisons, that torture isn't exactly their bag, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is some of those problems were fine; they just sort of meshed just fine. But with like Tosh, there were certain characters where if you're doing the romance, that issue is integral to what's going on with your character's romances. And I always felt like at the end, when you made when you finished their loyalty quests, it was like, what should I do? And the option was never like, you do what you feel best, or like, tell me what you're thinking about it, and we'll come. It was always one or the other.
Yeah.
Like, do this, do that. And I'm like, I'm just a friend.
And that's also
And
why I
even-
hate BioWare's circle anyway. Like, just tell me the dialogue so I can pick the damn dialogue. Like, exactly what am I going to say here? You know what I'm
Or
saying?
style
Like,
where you read the paragraph
please,
first.
just tell
Yeah.
me what I want to say. You know what I mean?
One game that did
Yeah.
that amazingly though was Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate
Yeah.
nailed it. Nailed
Well,
it.
Baldur's Gate did the paragraph thing, the way the
Yeah.
Kotor
Yeah.
did,
That
just
and
where it was
everybody-
a lot of detail.
Everybody was bisexual in there. Everybody was pansexual
Yeah.
in that game.
Oh,
It
that
didn't
was
matter.
that was the
You
thing.
could be a bear and people still wanted you. It didn't matter.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. In Baldur's Gate, everyone was horny, but they also had their story wasn't about who they were horny for.
Exactly.
Their stories were whatever they were,
Mhm.
and then there was also romance available.
Exactly.
Whereas Veilguard was romance is like, we want to make sure that you know that romance is available, which is fine, but we're also going to find a way to tie that into the loyalty missions at the same time, which I felt it just didn't hit the way that I wanted to. Like, again, I didn't really mind. Emmerich was my favorite
Oh, I
character,
love Emmerich.
especially because I played as a member of the Mornwatch,
Me too.
which that storyline was amazing.
Yeah.
As a Mornwatch character, Emmerich was like a bro, and I absolutely adored that whole storyline. But
Yeah.
they didn't, like, there were some I felt like Emmerich was the best written character. He was the one,
He was
because
the
their
one.
approach to the Mornwatch, like, you always thought the Mornwatch was going to be like a lot of grim, like, edgy necromancer stuff, but it was full on Adam's Family. Like the most wholesome necropolis of undead things you've ever seen in your life. And I loved that. I thought that was really well written.
What I think for me when it comes to video game writing is that, and this might be I guess a more unpopular opinion here, but most of it is cringy to me. There are few times where I ever look at something and go, wow, you know what I'm saying? Look at y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let's just like Disco Elysium or like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe even Citizen Sleeper, you know, like there are some scenes in Baldur's Gate 3 where I'm like, yo, holy crap. Starion going crazy. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is some of the best shit I've ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of it is like, I roll my eyes, you know what I'm saying? But I don't even roll my eyes because it's just normal. Like to me, like the baseline,
role playing for us.
You know what I'm saying? The baseline for video game dialogue and story for me, I don't even say story overall, but mostly dialogue is cringe. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever like they're doing like, I do this for my family, I do this for my country, I do this for my lover. I'm like, you're out of your mind. You know what I'm saying?
I can wholeheartedly agree with that.
Like,
I swear.
Like this is silly that you're doing this.
It's like D&D. Like if you're not comfortable like getting into the character and saying the edgy, cringy shit, being that character in the moment, like D&D really just doesn't work for people like that sometimes. Like when you're the most dry, just uninspired. Like,
but that's the thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I love D&D, right? I love playing D&D. But the thing is, like, we're being cringy, baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Willful suspension of disbelief. That's what
that's what the whole point of all of, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm never like super drawn from like a dialogue or anything. And I think a lot of people feel that way a lot of the time, but they suspend that belief, you know, selectively, right? Like I think a lot of people, right? If you had just some white guy that's like, I love you, I'm doing this for the girl, and jump off of a cliff to kill themselves, you know what I'm saying? But they make it whatever, right? They're like, okay, that makes sense, cool. But if it's like a black guy doing that for a black guy, they're like, wait, this is crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what
you're doing. What, you're a soldier. Why are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Then they want to like nip it apart because they feel like, but it's all weird and cringy. You know what I'm saying? Like this is all so like that's the issue. That's the uphill battle that like a lot of things like do face, especially now because it's like super, you know, people are super sensitive to it because like people are actually fighting for their human rights in real life. So they're like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's gay people in real life and in games. You know what I'm saying? Like what is this?
That was another thing that happened in a lot of my discussions too, where people are like, oh, I play my video games to escape reality. And I'm like, but video games are in our reality. What are you talking about? You can't escape to something that is quite literally influenced by the thing you're trying to escape.
You know what I mean? That's just ignorance.
What people don't understand, video games is an over-exaggerated reality. Get over it, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what I mean? They're made by people. They're going to put their opinions in. You're like, but again, I think it's just mostly just, you know, kind of like ignorance, which makes sense. Like, which is okay. I don't even mean ignorance negatively. I just mean like, if I didn't know like about wars going on in other places of the world and I just like played Call of Duty, okay, like even like the Modern Warfare days or the peak 9/11 post 9/11, you know what I'm saying, experiences here, right? Where the Middle East was the worst enemy in anything ever. You know what I'm saying? Like it was always go destroy the Middle East, right? Like a lot of people didn't notice. We were just like, okay, I mean, that makes sense. Middle East people are evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of like,
that is how
assumed, right? But like, had we like been adult, right? And like understood, like, yo, this is propaganda. Like, this is because of what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why they're doing this. Then it would have been a different
directly
thing.
Influenced.
Right? Then I could have made the excuse of, oh, I want to escape reality. I don't want to like fight. You know what I'm saying? Alabama. You know what I'm saying?
It's like
my escaping of reality.
It's like
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make this point, then I'm done. It's like the Helldivers thing, right? Like you either have the weird kind of cringy like dialogue, or you have the extreme. This is actual propaganda. This is what propaganda does to you. And then you have people online like, yeah, Super Earth for democracy, but not realizing that like you're not supposed to want to feel reality.
Yeah, this is aliens.
But
to be real.
My approach to escaping reality has always been more along the lines like, so we've talked about like Red Dead Redemption. I've always had difficulty getting into Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto. Critically acclaimed series, fantastic games, but I have difficulty playing them myself because they are grounded in more real world concepts of like the worlds themselves. So like the closest I got to enjoying like to doing something like Grand Theft Auto where I had a blast was oh my god, I'm spacing on it all of a sudden. Saints Row 3 was was a breakout game for me because I was running around the city.
Saints Row 3.
But I was running around with a squad of people dressed like cats using a dubstep gun. You know, like you can put it like I don't mind having more real world environments, but I want to have a supernatural something, you know, involved. So like Prototype was one of my favorite games ever. One of my favorite concepts in video games. It was so cool. But you're just in New York. It's just New York. Spider-Man's the same way. You're just in New York, but what you're doing is supernatural. Just like if I go to another world, like I prefer going to another world or being able to do something in a world I know that I cannot do otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, so like going to war, going to play a sports game, that kind of thing, never been a big appeal to me. But if I'm going to fight the aliens on, you know, Saturn's moons, fuck yeah, let's go. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
But like I'm not looking to go fight the terrorists. Yeah. I'm looking to go fight the aliens or the robots or whatever. Like, it's got to be something that's my escape from reality. There's always going to be some realism applied. Like, I mean, like you said, we talked about Veilguard. Like, there have been very modern, real things pulled over into games. That's always, like, everyone's writing is influenced by the way they're currently feeling about things. And sometimes that's going to bleed through more obviously than others. Yeah. But the escape from reality for me, it's like, I just need my setting or my gameplay to be beyond my current situation, you know, like I don't want to play a sim where my rent is too fucking high in Austin, Texas. You know,
that's the thing too. Like for me, again, personally, and again, I think I'm fairly in a minority. Like I never thought about trying to escape reality when I play video games. Like that's never really something. I just want to have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be literally me. I could literally be playing a game about me. You know what I'm saying? Like in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's fun, it's fun. Like I'm not really tripping. You know what I mean? Like so. Like for me, I never really thought.
Game.
You know what I'm saying? Would be nice. Just make sure I got some good hair. You know what I'm saying? I would like a lineup.
Nah, it's gotta be legit.
That's my only.
Gotta get the shape up plate. You know what I'm saying?
Give him the LeBron.
Right. Update those.
Because LeBron is crazy.
But like that's
Make the
I've
gap
never
wider.
Really thought of like. And also, maybe because I'd never really thought of like the closest thing, and even that was clearly not real, but like the closest thing to like me even having to deal with my reality is like San Andreas. You know what I'm saying? Like and even that, I was like, niggas ain't really out here like that. Like nobody's doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up in San Andreas. You know what I'm saying? So like that's the closest thing. So like everything is outside of my reality. You know what I'm saying? Like so that's the way I kind of like.
Well, I think a really good example of that was when I think it was Far Cry. Was it Far Cry 5 that was set in Montana? That was 5, right?
Yeah.
When that came out, when that was announced, when that was announced, there were a bunch of American people being like, "Okay, cool. We went from like the Philippine Islands to India to Montana. That sucks. Like, I don't want to see a fucking grizzly bear. This isn't exotic at all." But then I started seeing people from the UK, which are like, yo, I'm from London, and we don't have mountains or grizzly bears.
Right.
Like, this is, like, we don't have this stuff. For us, this is exotic. And I'm like,
yeah.
There you go.
Even to me, Montana is quite, I don't know what the fuck is going on in Montana. I'm in Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Like, Montana is as mythical as it gets to me.
Like, I mean, I've been through Montana, so for me, I was like, nah, I don't know. But, like, For some people, this is exotic, you know. Like again, this is a subjective thing to each their own, you know. Like they like this. This is like I've never been to Montana. This is a brand new world. I get to experience a bunch of crazy cultists and guns. Like let's go. That's great. But like I enjoyed Far Cry 2 was my favorite, even though I had to like have the simulation of being in, you know, having malaria in the center of Africa and running out of pills.
Was the best Far Cry game. I don't care what anybody says.
I love Far Cry 3.
Far Cry 3, bro.
Nah, it was 2. It was 2.
The best villain is
Far Cry 3, dog.
I'll give you the best villain in
Far Cry 3.
But he wasn't the main villain. Then it was.
He wasn't.
So I can't. So it's like that.
He was just It was just Heath Ledger's Joker.
My problem.
That's all.
But listen,
Yeah.
my problem with 3. My problem with 3 comes like near the end of the game, where you have to make the decision to either save your friends or go off with the random like indigenous woman that you just met. That is mind baffling that you would just say fuck my friends that you came here with that are going to die, and you're just like, you know what? You did all of this stuff to save them just to then turn on them. It just didn't make sense to me. I bet you did. I bet you did. I did too. But that's not the point, okay?
No, I was just saying, if you're thirsty, there's a decision to be made there, you know?
Yeah. I was like, damn.
That's the decision where I save. That's the one where I save just before, and I pick one, and then I do the other.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what did it for me. I just felt like, what am I like? Why am I doing this? Why did I play this game? If that was my decision at the end. But but 2, like Delta said, it was just that little hint of realism dealing with the malaria in Africa in the middle of a civil war going on in Africa. It was so much, and that was one of the first games that had the real life fire.
The fire was what I was gonna say, dude. Setting fire, like luring people onto the grass and then setting fire to it, was my shit.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm like, oh, there's a diamond over here. Cool. Here's a grenade. They all come running out, and now a Molotov, and you're all just gonna burn to death on the Serengeti while I go and loot your shit.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I can't. I just Far Cry 2. If they need to, if they're ever gonna remaster a game, it needs to be that. I'm sorry. That's the only one I'm waiting on.
Okay. They should remaster shit though. Keep putting out these new games. I think I don't know how they're doing nowadays, but
remaster Tales of Vesperia.
Okay.
Mm.
Wait, wait. Vesperia?
Yeah, Vesperia.
Did they? Yeah, they did the definitive edition.
Oh, I don't know.
That's technically a remaster.
I mean,
they waited like 6 years to do it, so
I guess
that doesn't make it a remaster, though. Not even the game industry can decide what the difference between a remake and a remaster is.
Nah, but
there's like a legitimate technical difference, but not even the industry can agree on it. Right. So,
because I'm a big fan of the Tales series.
I mean, what were the changes that were made to it?
No, I'm saying like, just what do you think?
The difference between the two?
Yeah.
Well, so a remaster is typically like a remake is typically a ground up thing, like what they did with Final Fantasy VII. Like that's like you can like the narrative can be mostly the same, all that characters are the same and whatnot, but like remasters are typically you use what's there, but you upscale things, you make some quality of life improvements, that kind of thing.
Well, it was.
Yeah, like a remaster, like you typically don't use a new engine or anything like that. Like a remake is like a ground up thing, but the thing is like. This is one of the biggest problems in the industry is that they don't have a consistent lexicon. So like any company can use whatever the hell they want and they can just do it. So like even job titles. Like I've been a QA analyst, but the work I've done has fallen under what other studios call QA tester, QA engineer, producer, there are certain roles that have certain responsibilities that just I want them to all sit down and just be like, we don't have to agree on anything except the words that we use. Like, because like remaster, remake, like you've seen the comment sections, players don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that a remaster is just it being remade, but remake is literally right there. But then what is a remaster? Exactly. So it's confusing. So like the thing that Aspire did with Tomb Raider 1 through 3, that was a remaster. Because it was the same assets and everything like that, but it was upscaled. There were some quality of life improvements. They added stuff like photo mode and like being able to swap out your outfits and stuff. That's a remaster. If they had gone into a new engine and rebuilt it in like Unreal 5, that's a remake. That's easy enough. Like those are the very two like basic differences between a remaster and a remake. So, educate yourselves.
There we go.
Yeah.
But like
education.
I will say,
knowledge.
With all the craziness that is going on in the gaming world and in the gaming community, like we are eating as gamers. We're getting so many good games that have been coming out just like seemingly back to back to back. This month alone, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 dropped. I almost completely forgot about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got
Yeah.
my bonus check from my job because I'm about to buy it after we get off of this. But and I wasn't. I was really gonna sit here and be like, man, I have to play
Wilds.
I have to play the Wilds. I have to play that. I've already pre-ordered Wilds, right? I also have to play Avowed. But luckily for me, I have Game Pass. And then I saw all the stuff for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I literally just got done beating that game on my stream like maybe six or so months ago, the first one.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, now I gotta buy this too. And it's just like boom, and now we know next month, like for me next month, we got Rise of Ronin coming out. Then there's gonna be some other games that I know are coming out in March that I'm gonna want. And it's just constant. It's been like this for the past like 5 years, where we just keep getting these games back to back to back.
Yeah.
And each year they just keep getting better.
Yeah,
Like,
I said, like, if no games, literally 0 games dropped for like the next 3 years, I'd be good.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I got a lot of stuff to catch up on.
Yeah,
like
like,
I've been
I-
playing.
Yeah.
I've been playing games that are like 10 years old recently.
Facts.
Like
Facts.
Still
when I
playing
watched
Skyrim.
I watched Secret Level on Amazon, which was there were good parts and bad parts, right? But the Outer Worlds episode was fucking awesome.
I didn't
the
watch
writers
that one.
for
I
that-
didn't see that one.
The writers for that episode knew exactly what they were being told to do, because Outer Worlds that is the most like wholesome yet disturbing universe. Like it's so bleak, and
As they do.
the episode was fantastic for that. And I was like, man, I've been hyped for Outer Worlds 2, because my first thing I said when I finished the game originally was that they needed a second game, because the first installment in any new IP is always a lore dump.
Of course.
And they get so hung up on teaching you everything about the world that a lot of things suffer for it. Like books, movies, games, it always happens. But I was like, Outer Worlds 2, now that it's established what the world is about, they can create a second one and just enhance everything that was lacking.
I hope they just
And then they are making
make it a little long. I hope it's a little longer than the first.
Yeah,
one.
I mean
I
that's
gotta-
everyone's biggest
Yeah,
critique
I
is
got
that
through
it needs to be
first
long.
one too quick, and it was too easy to like make a broken ass character. I did a melee build, and I focused on like the time slow thing, and I was able to like one shot the majority of enemies like a third of the way into the game. Like nothing challenged me, and so
I replayed it.
and that was on the hardest difficulty too. So
Good
it's
for
just-
now.
They're
Yeah.
definitely learning from that. They're
Yeah.
definitely learning.
Yeah,
from
I
that.
did. I
Okay,
did.
good.
I replayed it.
Oh,
I replayed it on
knows.
Supernova.
He knows.
Yeah.
Not LB knowing shit.
I don't know shit. I don't know.
Which is
nothing. I
good.
don't know
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I have a lot of faith in Obsidian with the way that they handle their games. Like, even if you didn't like Outer Worlds as it was when it came out, which is fair. Like, going back, I played through the DLCs, which I had never gotten to do, which were fun. I played it on Supernova with no companions, which was crazy. You know, like, so if you get like, you can only manually save on your ship. There's almost no auto saves in the game. If you get injured, you can only heal it by sleeping, and the only place you can fast travel to is your ship.
Oh, wow.
So like, if I got hurt and I was like by a goal, I would have to fast travel all the way back, heal, come all the way back, which sucked and was great at the same time somehow. But like, it was a much longer experience, but everyone plays differently, right? But like by the end, like I was more OP by the end than I was like right at the beginning or like sort of in the middle of the game. But I just wanted to see more. But like I did that. I finally went back and did my non-lethal playthrough of Dishonored 2, which I had rage quit 10 years prior because I had accidentally killed someone in the third mission and it didn't tell me. And then I went 2 hours further. So then I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But I did my Dishonored run. I played through Death of the Outsider, which was terrific. Booted Prey back up, which was a lot of fun. I've been playing a lot of arcane games.
Yeah.
But then I Ghostwire Tokyo. I started that last night because
cool.
I like Ghostwire Tokyo. You know me. I'm a sort of a latecomer to the Japanese culture thing.
That's very true. Show us
Ghostwire
drip check.
Oh yeah,
Frankie
Yeah, I
Cola.
got one.
Oh wow.
Frankie Cola, and I got
Cola.
Frankie over. I got Frankie's wanted poster here too. You know,
That's fine.
he's OG one, not General Frankie. I loved him.
Yeah,
I loved
yeah,
him pre-time
Yeah.
skip. But
See you,
all of these games, I really, my big thing for playing, I was already wanting to replay Outer Worlds, but Avowed, like I've been wanting that single player RPG thing again. So like Avowed is a big one for me. That and being able to dual wield a pistol and a wand Like I'm about to roll up and start casting vicious glockery like nobody's fucking business.
Listen, you didn't even have to tell me. This guy's about to get made. I'm about to be running around as Jebediah B. Carruthers from Rock Salt with my 2 flintlock pistols. Like, it's gonna be crazy.
There you go, man. Like, dude, Avada Kedavra is gonna hit different with some buckshot. Let me tell you. Avada bang. Yeah, like that's just fun. That's just a fun idea, is the thing. Like being able to do that kind of shit. Like it makes no sense. Like it's a real crossover for no reason, but I love it. I think it's great. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. I call it Flintlock fantasy is what I call that.
I'm so excited. I like when I saw that you could dual wield the Flintlocks. That's what pulled me in. Everything else, I was really on the fence. And then I'm gonna tell you what, this is gonna sound kind of fanboy, but real talk, when I saw Ronell's video, that's what pulled me in even further. I was like, okay, this is somebody that I've spoken to. He's level-headed. He knows what he's talking about. He gives good reviews. He was like the only person saying like anything positive about it for like months on that game. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try, and so I'm in it. And that's why I'm glad.
Loud. Gamers don't like to be the ones who leave comments don't like to be positive.
That's true.
But that's true.
What are you about to say, Ronell?
Whatever
you can say.
Right, I would say for one, I think that's how reviewers should be looked at anyway. Find someone who you kind of enjoy their taste, who kind of has a similar taste to you, kind of likes the things you like, hates the things you hate. You know what I'm saying? And like maybe now y'all can like share, because now you're just kind of like a friend, right? If your friends say this movie's good, they know your taste, they know who you know what I'm saying, like they're like, you're probably gonna like this movie. Now you can kind of trust that a little bit more, right? Anyway, when it comes to Avowed, I did my early impressions video. I'm currently reviewing it, the full game now. But I can't say too much about the full review. You know what I'm saying? But I can say from the early impressions video that in the earlier impressions video, I said that exploration is fire. That difficulty that you had to worry about with Outer Wilds, like you will not. It will be a different story in Avowed.
Listen, thank you. That was my concern, man. Like, and I love Obsidian, but when they did that, I was like, Obsidian, come on, man. Come on, this ain't you. This ain't you.
Yeah. Shit's cool, man. From giving my early impressions from video, I am regurgitating what I said on that video. And in that video, I said that it was fun, and I stand by that statement still. Full review coming soon.
Did you play any of the other Pillar of Eternities?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And even still, feels good.
1,000%. I mean, I can't. Also, some of the same people that created, that worked on that game, are working on Avowed. Like some of the same, the quest designers. You know,
is it set in the same universe?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had no idea. That's even better.
Which is huge. Which is why they need to market that a little bit better. But yes,
they do. Yeah. Well, there are so many games I've played that don't market their like key points well or at all, and like. Pillars of Eternity was always fascinating because it was something that treated like the existence of the soul as scientific fact, but also had it tied to a religious thing, which was awesome because it was like the soul is a guaranteed factual existing thing, but also like, like we have our own faith tied to it. Like gods and faith and everything were like legitimate. It wasn't a matter of belief.
If you love that aspect of Pillars of Eternity, you're gonna have the best fucking time in Avowed.
Okay. Absolutely. I'm so excited.
Because I'm not gonna lie,
that is what it's about.
Was one of the last games that I played before I started writing like the deities and stuff in my light novel series. So
that explains.
Yeah, doesn't it? That like I love the same thing you just said is exactly what I was like. I want to kind of capture that same thing. But hey, we are running low on time, so I want to get some final thoughts from Ronell, and then we'll work down the panel, and then we'll do our outro.
Yeah, got you. First off, thank you for having me, man. This is fun. I love talking about video games. It's always fun. I will say, I don't know, to anyone listening out there, just try and have some good game discussions, right? Try and weed through the people that aren't trying to be genuine with you, that are clearly looking for your click, your engagement, and find some people like Japan Amir, like JP, like everyone who's here, find someone who you can talk to that's trying to really move the needle when it comes to video game discussions and video game as a whole, if that's what you're really into. You know what I'm saying? There's people having fun conversations. Find them. You know what I'm saying? You can find me at 8bitClosedFist on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc., and on YouTube. And you can also find my show, Checkpoint the Show, at Checkpoint the Show on YouTube, where we have some fun discussions there. Check that out. Look at that. Give me some feedback. Talk to me, because that I'm really trying to push to like change this whole video game everything. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what we definitely need to do. I second a lot of what he just said. Like, part of me in my journey was finding people like Ronell running. Like, I met Delta at college, so like I met Delta in the real world, and we just got along. But
Right.
some people like PJ. I suck at first person shooters, but PJ is not afraid to have me on his team, even though he gonna have to pick up the slack. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. And when you find people like that, it's easier to want to talk about video games. It's easier to want to talk about specific things, why you don't like something, what you did like about it. It's easier when you find friends. So definitely find friends. You guys know how to find me, Japan Amir on TikTok. I think on YouTube, it might be Japan Amir on TikTok, or it's fictional on YouTube, or it's fictional on YouTube. Either way, I'm there. What about you, PJ? Let us have it.
Hey, look, it's easy to find me. I love playing with everybody. Just find friends within the community because, first of all, like Ronell, like Japan Amir, he's opened me up to playing different games, especially actually getting more on my PC to play games other than just stay on console all the time. So and it's just nice to meet people who actually have a legitimate love for video games without the toxic energy that oh, this game's trash here, this game's here. It's just a great thing. Also, I do believe we'll be hosting another Tekken tournament, I believe.
Oh yes,
coming up.
I forgot to mention that. Holy shit! Yes. So, Fictional and Anime and Gaming Channel will be doing our second Tekken tournament. It's gonna be bigger than the first one. It's gonna be huge, bigger than my hands, I swear. It's gonna be amazing. Okay, you gotta come and check that out.
Yes,
I might see what's up, man. Is the entry still available?
We haven't started entry just yet.
We haven't started.
Give us like 2 weeks. Give us 2 weeks from now, and we'll get everything out on TikTok. It will be a $5. It will be a $5 entry.
Yes, sir.
To everybody listening, I know it sucks kind of having some things behind a paywall, but it does take a lot of time for me and PJ to set this stuff up, to get everybody there, to make sure it's organized, and to make sure that not only I have the energy, that PJ also has the energy for the commentating. And Delta, you're more than welcome to come and commentate with us.
Yes,
commentate. As long as I don't have to play, I'm shit at fighting.
I don't have to play.
I might participate.
If anybody is in LA, I do have an event coming up. I just want to throw a cool party, a cool fun gamer party. If you guys are in LA, you know what I'm saying, tap in at 8bitClosedFist at Instagram. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be doing some cool shit there.
Tap. But all right, y'all. Delta, you got your final thoughts?
Sure. I've been talking against the echo chamber, but I'm going to sort of echo what Ronell said anyway. It's your strongest point is to be as detailed as possible when it comes to your information. I know for a fact I can't be the only one whose mom said use your words growing up.
Right.
It's the path less followed. It's the tedious long road, but if you want to see something change, the time that you take to change it, like it starts with you, and that sucks, but that's just how it is. And people are going to hear you better if you take the time to really voice what you got to say. So go ahead and do that. You can find me nowhere. I'm just here. You can find me here next time. Good luck. I'm easy to spot. If you come to Austin, I'm easy to spot. But other than that, good luck.
He's here with us. He's here with me and DJ.
Easier to spot. All you gotta do is look up.
All right, Ronell, thank you so much for being one of our guests. It was amazing.
Appreciate
having
you.
Been watching us for a while. From me and the rest of the fictional team, thank y'all so much for tuning in to our live stream. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit us up in the Discord. The Discord is the same name. It's fictional and anime and gaming channel. There you go. Come join us. We have discussions. We have anime debates too. If you're one of those crazy people, I'll debate you about any anime. I don't care. You're probably wrong and I'm right. That's just how it is. On that note, we're out. Thank y'all so much for coming.